What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're happy to be back with you guys. Hope you enjoyed the Thanksgiving holidays with your family and friends. Tonight, we should have a very interesting show for you. I have no idea where this is going to go because there's so many rabbit holes this one's going to go down, but y'all welcome Don Brooks to the show. Don, thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this because it's the amount of different circles that both of us have ran in for all the time I've been in Dallas and that we never really crossed paths completely is mind-blowing.
I have no idea how that didn't happen. It probably did.
Yeah.
But we just, I don't know, maybe we're too drunk to know it. I don't know.
No, it's something, because, I mean, hell, we even lived in the same damn neighborhood.
I know. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, Don, for those that don't know anything about you, why don't you give everybody like a little brief background about where you're raised, where you came from?
All right. Well, I lived in Garland. I was born and raised. I was actually born in Dallas, at Dallas Baylor, but lived in Garland pretty much all my life except for 4 years whenever we moved down to Pasadena, Deer Park area, and my dad was going to college down there. I mean, Garland was it for me. So I went to a couple.
That's how you know
schools.
those shady characters like Jay Banning and Preston Sams, huh?
Yeah, the old GHS, the original OGs.
Oh, man. Now I'm going to have to listen to this from you as well.
Yeah,
This is going to be awesome.
No, it was a good time with Garland, but and then because I lived in Garland, going into I actually, there was a company that was in Garland called E-Systems. My grandfather worked for them for years and years, and I ended up getting on with them and working there for 10 years. I was working on all kinds of top secret projects and whatnot. Just you name it, it was there. So
yeah.
I did that, and at the same time I was doing that, I started out with my first actual business when I turned 21 and got my FFL license. Started selling guns to a lot of the Garland cops.
Okay.
And that got me into Garland PD because one of them said, "Hey, why don't you come ride along with me one night?" And I was like, "I can do that?" He said, "Sure, you just got to sign a little form." I'm like, all right. And then, hell, if we didn't get into a damn high-speed pursuit that night, and I was like, where can I sign up? So I did that, too, at the same time. And
that same thing happened to me, only I didn't ever go to work for the police department, but I had a girlfriend right out of high school that's sister was dating a Dallas police officer, and, man, he kept begging me to go on ride-alongs with him. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, like you said, sign a little paper. They issued me a shotgun in case of emergency. And I'm like, are you shitting me? I'm getting a shotgun?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And we ended up in a high-speed chase through Deep Ellum, in the back streets.
Yeah.
And it was when they had those, I think they were Impalas, and they had the manifold issue that our car was catching on fire, and a 70s Corvette came racing up beside us while we're in a chase.
Wow.
And the guy's like, "Your car's on fire." And I'm like, you guys, that was when I knew I never wanted anything to do with working in law enforcement, because by the time they picked us up and got us back to station, it had to be about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't get to go home till 9 or 10 o'clock that morning because of all the damn paperwork we had to fill out and sign off on and saying that we were all good.
Yeah, there's just so much paperwork. I mean, especially with, stopping and pulling somebody in for DWI or whatever. That's a minimum 4 hours. Just on that one thing.
Yeah.
So, but no, and so, going through all of that, I've had background in law enforcement. I'm still involved with law enforcement out of Hunt County Sheriff's Department, and but with I also had an IT firm, and did some really good business with all of that. Some big major projects with companies like Compaq and PageNet and Mary Kay. My son actually works for the Mary Kay family a little bit right now. Just different stuff.
Yeah.
And then ended up getting out of pretty much all of that to go into the oil and gas business, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I'm still doing that.
Yeah. And what are you doing oil and gas now?
We do, a lot of acquisitions for pipeline right-of-ways and things of that nature, and actually kicking off a new company. Hopefully, everything's going to get started this first of this next year with survey and engineering. So we'll have those offerings as well. But the one thing that I kind of did as a little hustle at one point in time during all that.
See, y'all thought we connected because he arrested me or something back in the day. I wasn't out, went down.
Yeah, well, so my dad back in the 60s was in the music business.
Yeah.
And he had a group and he had a label and the publishing company and all that. And so I said, you know what, that sounds fun. I want to kind of get into that or whatever. So I took over what he had still had out there. And then he introduced me to another guy that he was friends with named Rod Phelps, who actually had a management company and, did some stuff with publishing and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I started working with him and then took that over and then created this other company called Mustang Agency, which we did a lot of touring, booking tours and whatnot nationwide. Got a couple of record deals out of the thing, got a publishing deal for one group over in Japan, just stuff like that. But it was really cool to be able to hang out with the crew, the Deep Ellum crew, and, all of those people. And I actually started a little thing one time. I think I told you about it with Chaz Knight.
Yeah.
And wanted to take Deep Ellum out of Deep Ellum, the whole concept of going and seeing live shows with independent bands, and take it to North Dallas. So we got together and we started this thing called North Dallas Live, or Indie Live. And it lasted for a good few years and had a lot of fun with that. And I think it just, we just kind of got over it and moved on. So.
What years was that? That was like early 2000s, right?
Yeah, that was early 2000s and into, say, the 2006-ish or something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's right about when I remember Chaz doing all that.
Yeah, because he wasn't with the Eagle anymore, and so but he was a face and a name that everybody knew. So
yeah, for sure.
That's why I went and got with him, and then got to be really good friends with Robert Miguel and Cindy Skull over at the Eagle, and we did a lot of stuff with them, doing a lot of side stage promotion and, doing some, if they were going to go out and do a remote somewhere and they needed some bands to play, or whatever, we'd all get that all hooked up. And then, so there was a lot of stuff on the Eagle when we did that. Omni Entertainment and 97.1 Eagle.
Yeah, remind me, what were some of the bands you worked with?
Some of the bands were like Within Chaos was one of the ones that I got the record deal for, and with Altered, and we got a band called Pistol Whip and Ike, Crave. I mean, there was a bunch of
and Jeff Gomez
bands.
is a good friend of mine. So like, how we didn't cross paths? Because what was the club over off Northwest Highway, like, that had the big fountains and stuff? That Pistol Whip and Ike did their like opening show there, like their first big show. It turned into Gas Monkey. Oh. But it used to be called something else in the early 2000s when they first built it. It was like this grand place, the big fountains.
Yeah, what was that place? It was something live too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it was. I can't remember the name of it. Somebody will. One of the music guys, I'm sure, will jump on here and tell us what we're
too many long
forgetting here. Yeah,
I can't remember everything.
Yeah, but yeah,
no, it was a good time.
Jeff and those guys were all good friends of mine. Brandon and all those guys, man. So yeah, for all y'all wondering how we actually connected, so I have a neighbor in my new neighborhood that invited me to a Friendsgiving and said, hey, I know this guy into bourbon and cigars, and you guys would probably really get along, and I know you're wanting to sell some bourbon and this and that. And I said, all right. I was like, I'm free. I think I can go by there. And I walk in and meet you, and then I walk out, and this is in my former neighborhood that I used to live in, that I lived in for 8 years, and we never crossed paths, although I used to walk my dog by your backyard because you're the only person that has a double lot and has like the biggest damn backyard in the entire neighborhood with this amazing back patio. And I was like, man, I really want something like that. Like, I really wish I could fit that in my backyard. Like, and I used to walk by and see it, and there was always tons of people on the weekend over there. And I'd walk by. But anyway, so we get introduced, and then I walk out onto your back patio, and I feel like I'm having a damn music reunion. I mean, I run into my good friend Howard Hancock's out there, and like, he's got his little son Miles with him. And I'm like, how in the hell did you get Howard this far north? I mean, I tried to get him meet me for lunch, and he's like, well, you got to come to Dallas. Yeah.
That's like second or third time he's been there. I think it was the third time he's been there. But, yeah, he's so he, you know, he and Clint, of course, Clint.
Yeah,
so,
and I missed Clint by like 5-10 minutes, I heard.
Clint, the owner of Trees, you know, he was there, and both of them, you know, played in the band called Down Low.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of worked with them for a minute because I got them their first TV appearance on what used to be 33 and a Third back in the day when they would do music episodes.
Which is really funny because that's when Howard and I actually became friends. Because I had gone to a few Download shows and was a huge fan, and I just happened to be down there, and he had told me about it, or he'd talked about that night at the show the weekend before, that they were going to be doing that, and was trying to get everybody down there. And I was one of the crazy people in the front going bonkers for them when they were, you know, 21, 22 years old. You know, for that show when they were down there on the news. And that's when Howard and I actually became really good friends.
I got them and a couple of other bands on that same series or whatever. One of them was a band called Hollow, and Brandon Barrett is no longer with us.
Yeah, sad story, man. It's sad Brandon's no longer with us.
Yeah, because literally a couple of weeks before that happened to him or whatever, he was at my house at one of my parties.
Yeah.
You know? So, but no, it's just, I went out actually the other night for the 20th anniversary for the Mad Mexican show at Trees.
No, I wish I'd been in town. I saw that, and you'd even called me to see if I wanted to roll down there with you.
I ran into
that was
so
awesome.
many people again that I haven't seen in forever. Billy Blair was there. I mean, just tons of people. So, and I walked actually into JR's bar over at Will Call first, and literally run into some girls that I know there, and they were like this. They came over and, you know, screaming at me, and they said, "No shit, we were just literally talking about you 5 minutes ago." And then here you walk in. And I hadn't seen any of these people for probably, I don't know, 6, 7 years or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a small world, man. It's such a reminder when you get down there in that atmosphere, and you kind of get distracted by it all and forget, because bands break up, bands move on, new bands form, and you go your certain path and they go their certain path, and you know it just when it all collides back together, it's really cool, man. Because I'd stayed so far out of the music scene after about 24, 25 that until about 10 years ago I really didn't get around it a lot again. But then when Matt Mossman from Edgewater passed, I knew all of them. I was real good friends with Courtney, his wife, and all those people. I knew Micah real well, and you know, had to go support that. And I ran into, man, there were so many people that turned up for Matt's memorial. That was an amazing show. I mean, guys
I was out of town when that happened, so I couldn't go.
Guys that hadn't taken the stage in a decade, man, got up there and were singing Edgewater songs with the guys on Matt's behalf, man. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, man. It was awesome.
Good times. No, but it's It's been, I don't know. I guess I've had a pretty fulfilled life. You know, been around.
So what'd you start out wanting to do? I mean, because you've done so many different things. Like, how did you kind of find and get to where you are now? Like,
Ultimately, I like running business, no matter what it is.
yeah, serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I have always had, I guess, to an extent, a good core group of people, you know, when I would go from one to another or whatever. Even when I was, you know, in police work, if I left one department and went to another, I had people that would just quit and go where I was going, you know, literally.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always, I guess, kind of been told that I've had a good leadership quality, but I try to stay in that realm, you know. But it's all about treating people right. If you don't, you know, treat them right, then of course they're not going to be there for you when you need them to be there for you. But it's just something I like doing. I don't know. I'm kind of one of those guys. I would rather, you know, give than receive to an extent. You know.
Yeah.
Christmas time comes around. I just have fun watching everybody open up what I give them instead of me going, "Oh, what'd you get me?" You know.
Yeah.
If I get something, that's cool. If not, no big deal. I've got enough in my life right now. You know.
Yeah.
So, it's not like I want really for a whole lot. That's what my wife gets pissed off at me about because, well, I don't know what to buy you because you're always buying yourself something, you know.
Yeah. You'd probably go with a gun or a good bottle of bourbon. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what gun she would find you from what I've heard. I mean, I saw a little bit of your collection, but I mean, I'm pretty sure you could do a podcast episode every day from now till the end of next year and probably not touch on each piece.
It's pretty close. Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's, you know, kind of one of the things that, you know, somebody's been, you know, or not somebody, but a few people have been pushing me to do is, you know, do something and do your own about what you like.
Yeah.
You know, and what is that? That's cigars, guns, and cocktails, you know.
Yeah.
So that's...
Well, while we're at that point, before I forget, because some of my listeners will absolutely beat us up if we forget to talk about it. So as far as what we're drinking and what we're smoking tonight, I am smoking a Principal Cochon Volant right now. Y'all have seen me have this one on here before. It's a very well-constructed cigar that I really enjoy. Dawn is smoking, and I don't remember which one of those, so Paco, forgive me if you're watching this. That's one of Paco's private collection cigars. That's one of the first 2 or 3 series he did.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, because he didn't do many of the dark Maduro wrappers like that. I think that might even be the only one he did like that, at least the only one I've got. And then as far as what we're drinking, you had never had Harbinger before from Iron Root.
Nope.
You hadn't gone down the Iron Root hole yet, so
Right.
we've got that group pick there. I think you're currently drinking the
10-year.
Templeton 10-year rye.
Yep. That's good.
It obviously doesn't suck. I mean, we're down to a little bit there. And then I also grabbed this Buzzard Roost straight rye whiskey. This is a barrel strength. So
Nice.
Don really prefers heat with a big flavor punch. So all 3 of those would fit that category if that's what you're into. But
Yeah.
2 ryes and a bourbon. And then Biz, what are you smoking on over there tonight? What do we go with? Yeah, that's what I thought. You picked that 2022 limited release Luciano. That is a phenomenal cigar.
Never had it before. This is
Yeah. And then, yeah, that's a good one. And then we've got a couple more up here that we might get to. We've got the Black Patoro. That's one of my favorites to go to. And then we've got the ICC now has Davidoff up there. So we've also got the late hour.
Nice.
That's another one I grabbed.
all-time favorite.
Yeah, the late hour, man. Those are...
I just brought a couple with me, so I didn't, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't know what we were going to be doing, so.
Well, we kind of just go where we feel like going.
Yeah.
Whatever seems to suit the night.
Right. No, it's so you're in construction now, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I do multifamily construction. I'm with a GC company called Element Enterprises.
Okay.
We're a full service general contractor for multifamily.
Okay.
So we go in and rehab apartment complexes, take care of their general maintenance, all their upkeep, paint, carpentry, city inspections, lender inspections, you name it.
Right. Well, I got a couple of buddies of mine. One of them basically can outfit pretty much any, commercial and or I'm guessing possibly multifamily with all their cabinetry and everything else. I mean, it's probably one of the largest in the United States.
We definitely need to talk about that. I'm always down to have other good supplier-vendor relationships, and cabinetry is highly in demand, especially if somebody can produce and stay in a good price point and actually turn something over in a reasonable amount of time.
You would like this dude. His name's Adam Sumrow, and he's a really cool dude. And then another buddy of mine, Troy Mata, he's doing a lot of furniture stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, they outfit everything with that.
Awesome, man.
So, yeah, but no, yeah, we'll get into that for sure. I mean, we can go down any kind of rabbit hole that you want to, as far as all that's concerned. But I mean, talking about, the music business stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was, Curtain Club, and then you had Galaxy Club and
Vampire Lounge.
I mean, all of those places
trees
that are no longer around.
Gypsy Tea Room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, like what's left? Trees. As far
Yeah,
as the
there's not a
original
lot.
stuff.
I mean, there's still, I guess, Canton Hall. Is it even still called Canton Hall?
I think it is.
And then you have what was the Bomb Factories, now just the factory.
Yeah.
'Cause Live Nation bought it. And then you got Southside Ballroom.
I'm talking more about independent ownership.
Yeah,
though,
yeah. I mean, but there's not any of that now. I mean, even some of the stuff that has been bought by the Live Nations of the world,
Yeah.
and has gone on that way. I mean, I think Clint Barlow is one of the very few that is still.
We like to support our independence.
Yeah, will call and stuff like that.
Those other boys will always make money, but the independents, we've got to keep them going, because if not, then that's all we end up with. It's just commercial,
Yeah, no one wants to just go see. I mean, there's a time, in my opinion, and I think you share this. I mean, that's why you wanted to bring that Deep Elm fill up to Dallas, North Dallas, I should say. Is, I mean, there's a time and a place where you want to go see the big band play in a big arena.
Yeah.
And you'll pay the $100 plus for a ticket and, go see the big show with all the theatrics and the fire and and everything else that's involved with that. But to me, what is way cooler than that is seeing either the up-and-coming band that's about to get big or the bigger band play one of these locally owned places where it's a smaller, more intimate show. People talk about those shows forever. I mean, I remember when, I can't even remember if it was, I think it was 97.1 in the early 2000s. It was like 97 cents or whatever, or maybe it was 102.1. It was like $1 ticket.
Yeah.
It was a mystery band.
Yeah.
You'd have to go down there, and it rotated between all those locally owned ones we were talking about, Clearview and Dada and Trees and all that. But it rotated, and you had no idea who was coming in town.
Yeah.
And I mean, Nickelback, before they blew up, like we saw Nickelback, we saw Smash Mouth, we saw Deftones. I mean, big ass bands, and something that, I mean, what did Clearview hold? Like maybe 400 people?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you're seeing the Deftones swing off rafters and shit in there.
Packed and sweating your ass off in those places.
But an amazing show up close and personal. I mean, Gypsy Tea Rooms like that. My wife still makes fun of it. I got strep throat and I normally don't get it. So like I'm a carrier for strep.
Yeah.
So when I get it, it puts me down.
Yeah.
And my wife got to see Incubus at the Gypsy Tea Room.
Nice.
I mean, that's a show no one's ever going to forget that was at that show. I mean, especially if they end up playing acoustic or something like that and really strip it down. I mean, that's a one-on-one unique experience.
Well, it's like, but Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think me and my wife were down there one night and we were doing just, I don't know what we were doing down in Deep Ellum. I think I told her, I said, let's just go in, see what's going on in trees. Walk in, and hell if he's not the one playing at trees.
Yeah.
And Clint totally hooked us up, got to go up in the crow's nest and sit there and just watch the whole show, like front stage right there. It was just so awesome.
Yeah.
It was a really great night. And, just going over to like Liquid Lounge whenever they used to do the Acoustic Wednesdays or whatever, and, watching bands like Jive come over and play.
Oh, man, I had Toby and them, man.
Yeah. And he's apparently doing well with his real estate stuff.
Yeah, I follow him on Facebook still. He's a realtor, so he's competition for my wife. So
Yeah.
Can't go down that rabbit hole too far, but yeah, I mean, Toby's sober for a long time now.
Yeah.
Married, doing really well. I mean, it's awesome to see all those guys really like.
That man was one of those guys that you could go up and do that whole, I want to take this pint and see who can drink it the fastest. And it was like just pouring it into thin air with him. It was gone.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I don't even know how you do that.
Oh, yeah.
I can't drink beer that fast.
I don't know how any of them do it. I mean, I used to do that with Jaeger because some of the bands I ran around with were all sponsored. It was like Miller Lite, Coors Light, and I couldn't drink those beers for years after that because they were all sponsored by them.
Yeah.
You drink that shit for free damn near every night, and it's like, that's what you did because you weren't making much money out on the road.
Right.
Especially you're just hanging out with the band, and then Jaeger was so big back then that Red Bull was making its big push, so everyone wanted the Jaeger bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I got to where Jaeger, I hate black licorice, but for whatever reason, in my early 20s, I could murder Jaeger.
Yeah.
And I remember when Howard and I first started hanging out, and he came out off the little tour they did, and I forget where they were playing, but it was somewhere in Deep Ellum. And they got done with the show, and he's over there, and he was talking it up. I said, you can't drink Jaeger. He's like, man, I am sponsored by Jaeger.
Yeah.
I said, cool. That means we're drinking for free. Let's do it. Get a bottle.
Yeah.
And me and Howard started just going back and forth. Howard tells a story. He ended up driving like 30 minutes the wrong direction going home and had to like pull over, take a nap, and then drive back because he was so gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I had told my wife those stories, and it was really funny. And I hadn't seen Howard in like 12, 15 years. This was probably about, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago. Mm-hmm. And we went over to the Armory and we're having some drinks.
Yeah.
And we came out, and I was like, man, I wonder who's playing at Trees tonight. Like just kind of went over there to check it out. And guess who's working the door like early on? Howard standing there. And the first thing he said to me as we're walking up before he ran over and like damn near tackled me was, hey man, no fucking Jaeger. And he goes, well, I'll do one with you just because it's you. I was like, man, I don't really drink Jaeger much, but just because it's you, we're going to drink one Jaeger.
Yeah.
My wife just looked, she's like, you weren't lying. You and Howard had a Jaeger thing, huh? I said, yeah, we were known to hurt some Jaeger from time to time.
Jaegers and, what is it, Tawakas and, oh my God.
Oh, I still can't drink Tawaka.
I can't either. I can't touch it anymore.
Tawaka. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I got allergic to it.
Yeah, exactly. But I wish some of these, all these music stations are going by the wayside too now. I mean, we've lost most of that. We're losing most of the local venues. I really hope some of these people start pushing that back in with some of these music center areas that I see that are in development. I hope like Frisco has that new music center it's supposed to be getting developed. I hope they start bringing it back because I think you need some will call places in other areas to bring back that music scene.
Well, yeah, and it's not like they're dives. These are nice places, but in relation to some of the other bigger bars, they're not. They're just smaller. I don't know what you want to call it. The community bars, kind of to an extent.
Yeah,
and that community might not be the community that's right there. It's the community of friends that come around to that bar.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look at me, and you. If we go down there, we're taking a trip.
Yeah,
it's a $150 night for me if I want to just take an Uber down there and back.
exactly.
But you get down to where we're at in this stage in life or whatever. That's what I'm doing. I'm not driving my.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than a DWI.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just, I don't know. I think a lot of that nostalgia has been lost. Like, I think that's why people end up getting wrapped up in their phones and recording everything else during these concerts, because you're in this massive place. Like, it's not personal. It's not intimate. Like, you're not watching a band grow up. Like, you're not watching them make that leap anymore. And that used to be the coolest thing, to see a local band make it. I mean, the Dallas music scene in the late 90s to early 2000s was hot. I mean, you had Edgewater that got signed by Creed's label. What was that, Wind Up? Or Turntable?
Wind Up.
Wind Up. I had it right the first time. But, I mean, you had all these different amazing bands. I mean, you had the Flicker Sticks. You had Dolly Braid. You had Hollow.
Yeah.
You had
Ugly Mustard.
I mean, yeah, Slow Roosevelt, the Toadies.
Slow Rose coming back next year, I think.
Yeah, I've heard some rumors, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut, but y'all are going to be excited. I mean, that's what's been cool lately, too, with the resurgence of vinyl.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys have gotten back together, even if it's for one show, to re-release whatever their best album was on vinyl. I mean, You've seen the Nixons come back around. They're doing it, and some of these bands are getting back together, and they're starting to tour again and stuff, which I think's awesome, man. I mean, I want to see a lot more of that. Oh, we got Vince Barnhill on here. Yeah, Vince is a good friend of mine. Vince's been on the show. Vince owned Universal Rehearsal.
Okay.
So he was all tied in with all that, and he's working on bringing Universal back and getting a space going again for these bands.
Oh, wow.
And he's even been helping a little bit over there with the Longhorn Ballroom.
Okay.
They renovated that and brought that back.
Wow.
So that classic venue. I haven't made it out there yet. I'm going to go see when next time Vince calls me and tells me there's somebody really good there. I'm going to have to go check it out.
That's cool.
Yeah. Vince said no moonshine. Yeah. We went hunting this weekend, and I brought him some moonshine, and I knew when I gave it to him, I was like, he's either going to really enjoy this and we're not going to see him in the morning hunt, or we're just not going to see Vince in the morning hunt. And we didn't see Vince for the morning hunt.
That reminds me, I got some 7 gallons of stuff to put together.
Yeah.
Our apple pie moonshine.
Yeah.
Me and my mystery guy. Yeah, he loves it. It's good stuff. Yeah, we just do it with already pre-made liquors, but it turns out phenomenal. I mean, everybody that I've ever served it to likes it, and it was all a creation of my buddy Dirty Uncle Al. And me. We'd get together every Thanksgiving. He brings his family over, his mom and stepdad, and we have Thanksgiving, and then we get to working it up, and we make it, put together 7 gallons of it, and let it sit. Start serving it at our New Year's Eve party.
There you go. Well, I actually have a good friend that he knows this Russian guy that is amazing at making all these flavored moonshines.
Yeah.
And they are legit, and they're not this like store-bought or you mix your own stuff, and he's got the peach and the apple pie. Problem is, to get the peach or the apple pie, you got to buy like a case and get like a mixture of everything. Yeah. So there's stuff you want, stuff you don't want. Yeah. And I always
the cherry
get those.
stuff, I can't handle it. I don't know what it is about it. The cherry moonshine. The flavor on it just hits me wrong. I can't do that one.
Yeah, I haven't had much cherry.
Yeah.
Most of the time, like he has the watermelon's real good, the peach is real good.
Yep.
He has a pear that's really good.
That's the first one I ever had was straight out of a still peach moonshine. That shit kicked my ass.
And yes, JP, I dyed my beard. It was getting way too gray in all the wrong places. But I think I did a pretty good job, don't you, JP?
I just noticed it.
I know. All of them are coming out the woodworks tonight.
Yeah, I quit doing stuff to mine a while back. I just said, screw it. Let it go.
You know, that's when I realized, like, how much I did remember being around you in some of these bands was when I saw some of the older pictures.
Yeah.
Because we both had the long hair and the goatee.
Yeah.
And that's when it set in. And I was like, yep,
think
I remember
seeing him.
When he looked like Dante from Clerks.
Yeah. No, I had a really good time when I was doing all that stuff because I would get flown out for showcases and stuff like that all over New York and California and Florida, just all these different places.
Yeah, I mean, we went to so many amazing music festivals, and like, I mean, I've looked at some of these now, and it's like, I'm older, and I don't really enjoy being at some of these festivals for 3 days, being packed in with that many people. I would way rather do the smaller show.
Here's an interesting story for you. I got flown up to one. It was a festival that was being put on in Sedalia, Missouri. It wasn't a great place. I don't know
That's
why.
right outside the Ozarks, isn't it?
I was just at some fairground kind of thing or something, I guess. But anyway, Drowning Pool was there. I'm trying to remember some of the other bands, but it was the first show for Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's when
I still haven't seen them live, and I really want to see them
You
live.
got to see them live. They really are. Yeah, that's when I first met Ivan and became friends with him because he also, his previous band was called Motograder. And, of course, hard, heavy, you know.
Yeah.
And so he played first Motograder and then came back on the stage later and played, Five Finger Death Punch. And that was an interesting whole situation in and of its own. But, it was a good, just a lot of just good times. So another one was when I was dealing with this band, and I'm not even going to say the name of the band because they're no longer around. But I got brought out to Hollywood. I'm getting driven around by the guy who's the guitar player in the band. And we're driving around in a really nice Mercedes. And I'm like, dude, I know your band isn't making that much money. I know what we're booking you out at right now. I was like, so where did you get this? How'd you get this car? Well, I used to be an actor. And I was like, oh yeah, everybody in Hollywood's an actor, So I was like, anything I would have seen you in? And he goes, yeah, probably. He goes, you ever seen Free Willy? I was like, oh, dude, you're Jason, the kid in Free Willy.
Oh, wow.
So I was like getting, we were just out doing our thing, hanging out. And then he goes, I'm going to go to a party tonight. He said, you want to come with me? He said, I've been invited to one. I was like, sure. Where are we going? Went to Shawnee Smith's house, the crazy chick in Saw 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So went to her house and it was just nights like that were always happening. Going and hanging out on the patio of the Rainbow out there in Hollywood. It was.
That's the other one. I want to see the Viper Room. I never got to see that
Viper
yet.
Room
I want to
was
go
cool.
see the Viper Room.
The Key Club. I could go in the Key Club and get in a private booth and bottle service and all that kind of stuff. It's good time.
I got to go to a lot of the festivals that I probably wouldn't have. Like Voodoo and stuff like that. Like I saw Voodoo when like Snoop and Tool and Pearl Jam and all these different bands were playing there. Like big Aerosmith. Like there was a lot of crazy bands that played in the early 2000s at festivals. But the lineups just to me haven't been as strong in a lot of those. Now you got like Rockahoma that's gotten way bigger, and we used to always go to Memphis in May.
Yeah.
And Memphis in May was an amazing thing. I'm not a big fan of Memphis. Bill Street is like one of the dirtiest places. Everybody talks about New Orleans being dirty.
Yeah, I know.
Bill Street can beat that up and down the dirty tree.
Yep. Yeah, well, one of my agents, whenever I had my booking agency or whatever, was a guy named Chris Jones, goes by Roach. But he was the one who was taking care of booking pretty much and managing the New Daisy on Bill Street.
Didn't you have some connections with like Pimpadelic too?
Yeah. I was managing them on the very end of their career.
When they were
basically.
full blown fucking crazy.
Yes, straight up. Everybody was like, "Why are you even going to try to mess with that?" I was like, "Well, I don't know. I'm just friends with them, and they want my help, so
yeah,
I'll do it."
I mean, you might know because it was at the end then. So, is the story true about Pimpadelic where we won't name specific names there, but somebody pulled a gun on a Sony executive when they were actually going to get signed?
I think that
or is that just one of those that just kind of blew into something else?
I think it blew into something else, but I wasn't there, so I wouldn't put it past them.
Because
that's how crazy they were.
That's one of my first experiences at Trees. Because when I was in high school, I had a 1970 Chevelle, and I had a Pimpadelic sticker on my back windshield, and they played at Trees, and he literally whipped it out and peed on the crowd. And people were so mad that somebody went out and found some kind of like a corner of a cinder block and threw it through my back windshield.
Oh.
And like Howard actually helped me like tape up because it was like middle of January.
Oh yeah.
And like and I had to drive all the way back to Carrollton.
Oh damn.
In like 98. And like I had to like tape my whole back window just to make it home because it was like all nasty and like sleeting outside. And
yeah.
Like, yeah, that's my Pimpadelic story. I used to be a big fan of them until that happened.
It was, I would have to excuse myself a lot of times from hanging out with them because they would start to get a little crazy.
I mean, like, even when we hung around some of the Pantera guys, like,
oh, yeah.
Those guys could get crazy, but I would suggest that it might be possible that Pimpadelic could out-party Pantera
any day.
Back in the day.
Any day.
And that ain't a far-stretched
And that wasn't because
story.
That was just, I don't know. I want to call it pure stupidity, but, I mean, it just, that's how crazy they got.
Those boys got wild.
Me and Chaz were doing a show there at the original Hard Rock in Dallas.
Yeah.
And that was the night when they inducted Dime's guitar into the Hard Rock. And so we were hanging out with them after they got through and doing their little meet and greet or whatever, hanging out in the upstairs room or whatever and, having drinks with them and whatnot.
Dime, out of all the Pantera guys, was the nicest guy.
Always.
Him and Vinny.
Always.
Those two were so nice, man. Like, and they wouldn't even, I mean, you always had certain people that would come around when they were hanging out that would fanboy them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were just as cool to them, but like, if you really were chill with them, man, those dudes would, offer you anything. They'd give you their personal cell phone number and be like, yeah, man, call me anytime. Like, let's hang out. Like, they just sit and have a beer with you and, like, just absolutely enjoy hanging out. And they actually supported a lot of local music, man.
Yeah.
Because,
they'd come out and show up to their shows.
Hollow, they were working real hard trying to sign Hollow to their deal.
Right.
And that deal just didn't work out. But,
They when you talk about siblings being opposite, to an extent, that's what they were. Dime was always the really, really outgoing. He would just go running through the crowd and saying hi to people, or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Benny would say do that, but at the same time he was more reserved and always
way more pulled back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
In fact, another one. I did shots with him at Trees like 2 weeks before, he passed.
Yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, it was every time you saw him, it'd be,
And
his
he
name
had a
come up.
miraculous way of remembering your name.
Yeah.
Like, that was insane to me. I mean, I'm in sales, and I have to give people like nicknames or remember something to like remember names a lot of times. I'm terrible at it, and it's something I work on all the time.
Yep.
And that dude, I mean, I sat and drank beer with him one time at some random ass bar in Deep Ellum, and then I ran into him at a like hole in the wall in like Plano or something, where we were having like crawfish and drinking beer, and he just showed up and was hanging out, and he remembered my name.
Here's a crazy
Like,
one.
that was wild. Like, the thousands of people that dude ran into.
Here's a crazy one for you. I don't know if he really remembered my name, but I'm out at an award show, a music award show out in Hollywood, and I was sitting back, and I knew that one of the presenters was Corey Feldman, and I was like, got to try to get meet up with him again. I actually was hanging out with him after one of the crazy shows that he put on with his little group that he tried to come out and do music with or whatever at the Galaxy Club. Closed it down, and then afterwards we hung out and had drinks, partied and, went here and there or whatever. And then I ran into him, and after the award show, where everybody's just kind of hanging out, and doing a little meet and greet, or whatever type deal. I go up and I see a dude named Patrick Stevens. I don't know if you know who Patrick Stevens is. Patrick Stevens always did crazy motorcycle stunts.
Okay.
He could get on a cafe racer and just pop it up and ride a wheelie in a 5-foot circle. I mean, he just balanced that bike and do all kinds of crazy stuff. Anyway, apparently he got to be friends with him, and he was out there with him. So I ran into Patrick. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? And he goes, I'm hanging out with Corey. And I was like, no freaking way. And he goes, yeah. He said, hang out. He said, well, he'll be over here in a minute. And then when he came up, I looked at him. I was like, hey, brother. I said, I know you probably don't remember me. And he looked at me for a minute, and he goes, and I said, in Dallas, Galaxy Club, he goes, yeah, man. He goes, we left from there and we went to here and there, and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. He remembered actually what we did, because he was doing all kinds of crap,
Yeah.
He had any memory.
That's wild, man.
Yeah. Good times though, man. Oh, and so I was dealing with a band that I was working with and I went up to Minnesota. We were going up to the recording studio to listen to some stuff that they were doing, and it just so happens, I didn't know it at the time, but the dude that was helping them produce their stuff was Kevin Martin from Candlebox. So another cigar guy. So we hung out and started talking, and kind of just hit it off right away. The guy that was financing their stuff was there, and he's like, hey, man, we said, look, why don't we all go out and eat dinner tonight? Some nice, expensive steakhouse up there. It's called Ray's or Roy's or something. I don't know. But anyway, as soon as we walk in, because Kevin and I had already talked about cigars and stuff, as soon as we walk in and got sat down at the table, I tapped Kevin on the shoulder and said, hey, man, did you see that humidor when we walked in? He goes, yeah. He said, I already had my eye on that. He said, it looked like they had some Cubans in there. I said, oh, yeah. He said, so let's get one after we're done. So we go over there and we start picking out, the cigars. I don't remember which Cuban it was that I got. He got one, and he, whipped out the cash and paid for it. He said, I got it, man, and from that point on, every time that they would come through Dallas or, somewhere where I could get to their show or whatever, we'd go and I'd meet up with him and I'd hand him a cigar, and then we'd hang out afterwards. So I took him and his a couple of his band members or whatever to Lower Greenville one night, and just popping around all the different bars and whatnot.
Yeah, I heard that. I never got to meet them. I heard they're really nice guys. One of my really good friends
nice
growing
guys.
up, she did a lot of work with them. I don't know exactly what she did. I think she was helping promote and stuff like that when they were doing a lot of stuff around here in Dallas, like they spent a lot of time here in Dallas. Like they apparently really like playing around here, or at
Well,
least did back in the day.
They got a little bit of family here. I was friends also with his, and I still am, with his cousin, Lisa Martin. And so he would come in, and then whenever they would have a show, she'd bring, I guess, her dad or her uncle or somebody that was related, and bring them out to the show. But yeah, always just a really good time.
All right, I was supposed to ask you if you know Warren Garza.
Yeah.
That's Paul Beckingham asking. He's a good friend of mine.
Okay, yeah.
Paul actually wrote the intro that plays on our podcast.
Oh, nice.
And recorded that for us.
Nice, yep.
He's a great dude.
Warren. Yep. There are a lot of I don't know. There's just so many people that I've met out of Deep Ellum that are down now. Either they're doing something different or whatever, but you still see them every now and then.
So you seem like me. Granted, I'm not doing anything with music right now. I've got some stuff in the works that you and I've talked about a little bit. We might even team up here a little bit on this, maybe, hopefully. But music seems to be like a backbone, like passion of yours.
It is
that you really is a part of your life. How is it you don't really still do anything with music other than socialize?
Just because once it got to the point to where basically the internet killed record deals.
Yeah.
I just said, look, there's just unless you've got a ton of money behind you, you're not going to make it in this business. So I just wasn't making enough money.
Okay.
To I guess move ahead on what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be. So that's whenever I kind of just, bailed out of it and focused more on this oil and gas. And, of course, that's why I kind of got where I've got right now because that paid for it,
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, but again, I still have a love for it. Even Chris up in Roach up in Memphis, he hits me up all the time because he's still heavily involved with it. And he says, I don't trust but two people when it comes to being able to advise me in anything when it comes to, contracts or, anything like that in this industry or just advice. And, so I get a ton of that. I get a ton of people coming to me for advice for different things because I've kind of had a pretty storied life, in different arenas.
Yeah.
And so I don't sit back and just do and stay in one little pocket. Like I'm not somebody that just went out and started working as a plumber and that's all I've done all my life is being a plumber.
Yeah.
I've went around the circle and because of that I also make friends that are in possibly several circles. So I listen and learn and whatnot. And why I've made a ton of friends and I got a ton of friends that own different restaurants or bars or businesses or whatever, and so I keep in touch with them. That's one thing. It's one key thing I will tell you about anything when it comes to business. Don't ever lose connection with anybody that you've made connections with that has a solid base. If they've got a solid base, don't ever lose connection with them. Not because it will do something for you, but it might do something for somebody else down the line.
Yeah. So what are some key things you do to maintain connections like that for somebody that...
Literally, just make sure and, keep in touch with them.
Because we think this is common sense, and that's why we talk about these things on here, because not everybody has these common sense factors that they put into play all the time.
You might not talk to them for 6 months, possibly even a year or whatever, but still reach out to them and say, hey, what's going on? Hadn't talked to you in a while. Let's catch up. Let's go have a drink or let's go eat dinner or whatever. And so you do. I've still got people from high school that I stay connected with, and I might not see for a year or two, but I will get back in touch with them.
Yeah.
Me and my wife may go out to dinner with, him and his wife, or, her and her husband, or, whatever.
Yeah.
Because, I'll, give you for instance on some of this stuff, like my son, my youngest son, was working at one restaurant, and, he was a manager there, and it was doing really good and making good money for, somebody who was 17 at the time.
Yeah.
And then he turned 18, and then, he was like, it's time for me to move on, whatever. And he was like, Dad, I know you know a lot of people. And I was like, yeah, let me make some calls. So I made a call to, one of the top restaurants, my guys there or whatever. And he said, look, tell him to go to this restaurant. It's a really high-end Italian restaurant or whatever, and tell him I sent him. And so he did, and I gave him his number, and they started talking. And he went there, and he got hired on the spot. And then he's just moving up. Dude, the kid's making over $100,000 a year at 19 years old. I was like, if I was there at 19,
yeah,
I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I'd be way further ahead.
Yeah.
Because you got to just keep that good head on your shoulders and make sure that you have a plan. Put together a 5-year, a 10-year plan, hell, a 2-year plan, but have some kind of plan on where you're going to, and not just here's what I'd like to do. Put together the steps to get there.
Yeah.
So it's not about just, again, coming up with a pipe dream and say, I'd like to do this one day.
No, we've talked about that several times on here, whether it is entrepreneurs, business owners, special forces guys. A lot of the special forces guys, like, their big thing is take the shot and don't quit. To sum it up real briefly there. But I think that's a key factor, is that you make a plan, identify what has to be done to do that, and then have the discipline to do those things. Because it might not happen on the timeline that you think it's going to happen.
Right.
But day in and day out, the ones that are successful have the discipline to do those things, and then they just don't quit.
I've just seen so many people that there's the two different types. You got the ones that'll sit there and keep playing at it, but they don't do anything to try to get further. And even just in the music business, let's say, these guys are going out and playing, and this, that, and the other, and all they do is just try to get to the next show and get by, whatever. They're not out there promoting themselves.
Yeah.
They think that, online, stuff is going to be able to do it for them. All I got to do is just post it out there, and everything's just going to do it by itself.
Yeah.
You might get lucky,
yeah,
but probably not.
Probably not.
So let's try to make connections to other people or whatever, other things that might help you get there. If you get to somebody that's really popular on there and they love you, guess what? They're going to post out about you, and then the next thing you know, you're blowing up.
Yeah.
But let's talk back in the day. Back in the day, you remember being out like on patio, a curtain club, or trees or something like that, and there's your bands out there just handing out flyers. Here, man, come see our next show.
Flyers, stickers.
But then all of a sudden, the internet stuff.
Yeah, MySpace comes along.
Yeah, MySpace and all that, and they thought all I got to do is just put it out there, and then people will come and see it and they'll like it. And everybody got lazy and just quit doing all that stuff. And I was like, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't go out and work that crowd. I'm going to give you for instance, in a different type of business. Go to some place like Javier's.
Okay.
Go to Javier's, and Javier is there all the time, working and walking around. I mean, he's the owner. He don't have to do that.
Yeah.
But he goes around and he says hi to everybody and everything. When you go to a certain bar or something like that and you see the owner and they come over to you and they say something nice or whatever, and maybe they send you something or whatever, you're like, I want to go back there. This place was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Those people were like on top of things, and the owner come out and said
shook my
hello
hand,
and
bought me a drink.
Yeah, and that's why that man is successful.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Guarantee it.
I mean, because you got to add some personality to it, and, like, not just be a name.
And it's not just him. He's taught all of his people there to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, Eddie and Carlos and all those guys there, they all do the same thing. They go around and say hi to people and make sure everybody's good and taken care of, and nobody's above anything else. Carlos is the GM there, and I see him running food out to people. I'm like, he doesn't have to do that, but it's what you do if you want to get the job done.
Well, it also seems like you don't look at roadblocks or stumbling blocks the same as a lot of people.
No.
That, like, you're not afraid to change course or to pursue another passion. You make moves to continue doing the things you want to do. Have you always had that mentality, or is that something you taught yourself? Is that,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something. I mean, I learned a lot of that stuff from my dad. I think, when it comes to just pursuing something that you want to do. But I watch, again, like these other people who are doing these different things. And I'm like, that's the kind of guy I want to be. I want to be somebody who you want to come back and see. Or let's put it like this, where, people want to come back and work for me because I've treated them right.
Yeah.
That's not about, don't come up and work for me and then, because something ends and I don't have a job for you right now or whatever, and then tell me to, F off, it's not the way to go.
Right.
So, because I believe me, you won't ever get anything from me again.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's just me. I mean, I think it's anybody, so I don't know. I just, I see something, and a lot of people are like, look, I'm good where I'm at. And if you're happy and you're good where you're at, then stay there, do that. But, when it comes to, people that I see that I know can do better and get more for themselves, then I'll push them. I'll say, look, dude, you gotta do it this way. You can't stay where you're at.
Yeah.
As in my youngest son, told him, I said, dude, if you stay where you're at, you're not going to get any further. You're going to be right there in that same realm, hanging out with the same people, whatever. You need to step it up, hang out with a different, I don't want to say class of people, but in a different area where you can make different connections with people.
You have to grow.
Yeah.
You have to put yourself in environments where you can grow.
Exactly.
You can't stay around with the same, if none of your friends have ambitious goals and you're very ambitious, well, you're either going to adapt and change to them and let those go, or you've got to put yourself in other situations.
Yeah. I mean, don't go try to, freaking sell surfboards in Montana.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Where are you going to get with that? It's go where it's warranted.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, it's common, like you said, common sense.
Well, we say it is, but not everybody looks at it that way. So I mean, that's kind of where we want to point those things out and kind of bring those to some forefront, so people might consider that or take a different approach to it.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I again, I'm a people person, so I love to be able to, have people around and this, that, and the other. But there's times as well to where I'm just like, you know what, I'm good with tonight. I'm gonna hang out and just be by myself, or just me and my wife, or you know, whatever. And that's fine.
Is your wife like that too, or is she?
She is. She likes to get out and do things, but she's more of a homebody. But, at the same time, again, she has no problem, if I say, look, let's go out and let's do this or whatever, she's like, oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
I mean, she's kind of always been that way. She's gotten a little bit more reserved as life's went on. She just went through a, year and a half, long deal about battle with breast cancer and beat that. so
Oh,
far.
awesome, man. Glad to hear that.
And was just a champ. You know, I mean, I didn't think I was going to see that out of her. You know, being able to take. I mean, she had that Red Devil stuff, the really hard, stuff that they give you, and she handled it like a champ. I mean, just I thought she was going to possibly just
Throwing the towel.
break down and be one of those, oh my God, I'm hurting, and this, that, and the other. But even though that might have been the case, she just pushed forward. So
that's awesome to hear, man.
That was good, and everything's running good. I just got her what she wanted for a long time. She wanted a little lap dog, so I just got her a little miniature schnauzer. And
miniature schnauzers are awesome, man. I grew up. My first dog was a miniature schnauzer.
9 weeks old.
They are full of personality. They're fun dogs. They live a long time. I love boxers, man. I got a boxer now, and I mean, the saddest part about having boxers is they are cancer machines.
Yeah.
And they have about an 8 to 10 year expectancy, man, and it's sad. And you watch them go from being balls to the wall from puppy to about 4 years old. Then they kind of calm down just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then after about 6 years, you watch they rapidly age really fast. And it's like, man, it's heartbreaking. Like, I don't know. I said this last time, and it lasted about 7 months. I'm sure my wife's going to correct me on that and be like, it lasted 4, but to go through that again, when Con passes, I don't know that I'll do that again. At least not for a long time, especially like I did last time, where I kind of went and filled that void real quickly there.
Well, that just happened with me. I had a pit, and she lived 15 years, and they're not supposed to have but about a 10 to 12 lifetime expectancy, and was loved by everybody that would come over to our house, because she was just the greatest dog. I mean, to the extent, I mean, he knows, he was there, Busy was there. She was my daughter because I had boys, so that girl, she would watch my every move.
Yeah.
She would just, my wife would say, whenever you would leave the house, she would go to the front window and just look out the window, just pine for you.
Well, that's what Con does. I mean, if I go out of town, he won't eat.
Yeah.
He doesn't eat until I get back, pretty much.
Wow.
Like, I mean, he has huge separate, and that's the other thing, with boxers, they get super attached, and like, man, when they have their human, like, that's it. And like, you try to board them or anything like that, it's a nightmare. It's like, it's to the point now where it's like, I have some good friends that, he really likes and that he knows.
Yeah.
And I have to like butter them up and talk them into coming and just staying with him, because, it doesn't work to put him in these other situations, because you see it physically take a toll on him.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's hard. Yeah. It got down to the point to where she couldn't walk, and this, that, and the other. And I was giving her all kinds of medicine, spending crazy money on her. And they said the only thing that we can do is give her a blood transfusion. That took about 2 or 3 days, and it actually took effect. And I was able to give her 6 more months of, pretty decent life, where she was able to, get around and do whatever. And then it came back the next time. But when we took her back to the vet that next time, he said, I checked her stomach area and her liver, and she's full of cancer.
Yeah.
And I said, well, then it's time. I don't want to see her suffering anymore. But,
that's
hey, man,
the exact same decision I had to make with my last boxer. He went from being 95 pounds in a very short period of time and getting liver cancer. And
thank you.
Yeah, and he rapidly declined. I mean, in 3 months, he went down to being a 65-pound boxer.
Yeah.
Lost 30 pounds in like 3 months. I mean, I was literally watching him wither away. And when he hit 48 pounds, I mean, you could see every bone in his body. I was like, I asked the vet, I was like, hey, man, I've had the same vet since I was 16 years old that's taken care of every dog my family has owned. Mm-hmm. And he's one of the best vets around. It's going to be a sad day when he retires. I know we don't have much longer with Benford over in Carrollton. And he's a great guy, man. And we took him to these specialists and stuff like that. And they're like, well, you can try this, that. And Benford told me, he's like, listen, man, you ain't stopping this.
Yeah.
He's like, I ain't going to make you do all that because I know what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
I will prescribe you the stuff that can, but you're going to have to know when it's time. And you're just going to make that decision. And I did it. I mean, it's sad. He had a bad day, and then I made the decision. I was like, all right, I'm going to keep him in. I called Benford and told him I'm going to take him in tomorrow. I said I want to have another night with him. And, man, I laid with him and slept with him all night and played with him all day. And he had a really good day. And then that next morning I could tell, knew I made. And then that next morning, man, he was kind of chipper and back up, and I was like, man, am I making the right decision? Like,
right.
And I'm like, but I was like, man, all I'm gonna do is sit here and watch him continue to die.
Yeah.
Like, I want to put him out of his misery before.
It's hard.
Man, it's one of the toughest things in the world.
I had to turn in my man card because I bawled all weekend.
Oh man, I'm telling you, there's nothing worse. I mean, losing a family member like that, it's brutal. How do we get on such dark topics all of a sudden, man?
I don't know.
We're about to have two guys over here crying.
I know. But I'm going to take a break real quick.
Yeah. No worries.
Oh, my goodness.
Biz, what's happening? Yeah, come on. Come jump out. I forget you didn't set up a mic over there today. I'm over here asking you questions and shit like I'm used to you having a mic. By the staircase.
I just didn't do a microphone today just because you had such an interesting guy on. This dude has done everything.
I know, it was amazing, right? That I come in to tell you about this like wild ass connection and dude that I ran into, and you're like, Don?
I've been knowing Don.
I DJ for Don.
I DJ all of his. He has these backyard parties that are like, and like one of his neighbor dudes is the dude like so before my stepdad passed, I brought my stepdad with me to one of his parties. I didn't think he was a. I mean, my dad been in bands and done stuff and everything. I said, I didn't think nothing about it. I said, I'm just gonna send him over there. Big old fat guy gonna sit in the corner. He was the life of the party.
Yeah.
Had people lined up to talk to him. He led Don's whole party. Got up. They did the Cupid Shuffle. Did this and did that. Man, Don's parties is off the chain. It's just like. So every time I DJ at Don's parties, I bring my stepdad and my brother with me, and it is like everybody from the guy that's the We Got Him mortgage guy. You see the commercial? That's like his neighbor.
Yeah.
To these other guys in these bands you talking about.
Yeah.
This dude, you have a collection. He has a collection of whiskey, but he has like Japanese bourbons and whiskeys.
Yeah, he's a little more diversified than I am. Like he goes across the board a little bit more between bourbons, whiskeys, and Japanese whiskeys. I don't personally. Japanese gets too much like sake and scotch for me. That's peated.
I don't know. I just know it was warm. I was happy, and I DJ'd an extra hour because of it.
Yeah,
that's all I remember.
He got a free hour.
You got a free hour because it was just But interesting guy, and as it pertains to our theme of common sense, it's like. For somebody that's been in the music business, been in law enforcement, now is in oil, it's like, damn. And those are all non-related, polar opposite.
Have nothing to do with each other. And yet he's been super successful in everything he does. And I think it goes back down to the people and the connections, man. He keeps that, like he said, he keeps that going. I mean, like, everybody knows Don. Like, I was like trying to go around and like talk about this super cool dude I met that I couldn't believe I hadn't ran into.
And they'll say, "Oh, DB, yeah."
And everybody, and like literally like 8 out of 10 people that I told the story to were like, "Yeah, I know Don. Don's cool as shit." I'm like, "This is wild." He let the beast out.
Let him out.
Yeah, we were talking about him. Now he's going to come hijack the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Con. At any moment, it's going to happen.
Yeah, in some minute, you're going to see my lap dog.
Because I'm here and I'm new and he doesn't know me. So
I know that don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. come on, quit being scared.
Yeah. I don't know. He's real camera shy. You try to take a picture with him, and he'll duck, or he won't look at you.
He'll keep me company over here.
Yeah.
Come on. What's up, buddy?
No, but that's talking about busy. That's crazy, because we've I got him introduced to Derek, right? Yeah, and Derek's a great guy too. Got a lot of stuff going on. So it's just it's one of those things. I mean, if you got somebody that does something good, it's like, hey man, I got somebody I know you need to talk to.
Yeah.
And you just keep making those connections, or whatever, and then everybody I think kind of remembers that.
Yeah, it's giving more than you're asking for. If you're truly just being a servant and giving and like making connections, introducing people with no other intention of seeing somebody else be successful, seeing them, helping them out, staying connected.
Seeing people be able to be successful, especially if I've been the one to, make that connection to hook them up and let them do that. It's like, man, I knew that was the right choice. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I don't know. It's something that I enjoy doing. I like getting out and, being able to just have conversations with people, catch up with them, or listen to what they're doing, or people a lot of times will just call me just as a sounding board, or sometimes just a vent. They're like, man, I'm sorry, you don't need to be hearing all this or whatever. And I was like, no, go ahead, talk. So that's just kind of, where that all comes with.
And weren't you a chaplain with the PD as well? Is that where that kind of ties in?
That's where that ties in. So once I got out of law enforcement or whatever, I went out and got ordained. And I've, performed a couple of weddings. The first one actually was my oldest son. And then, but I wanted to do that so that I could stay connected with police and go out and get connected with their departments and, be their chaplain. And I told them, I said, don't listen to the word chaplain as you might think it is. I said, I'm not going to sit here and Bible thump you. We're going to sit down, we're going to have a drink, we're going to have a cigar, whatever you want, and let's just talk. Let's let you get out your grievances, or if you've been in a shooting, or where you had to shoot somebody, let's get that out. So I don't want you feeling like going down that rabbit hole and feeling bad to where you're going to end up harming yourself at some point in time, or thinking that it was just okay that you did that. Remember, that's a life that you took. No matter if it was warranted to an extent, let's just keep it, straight and level. So it's more of a counseling type situation, and that's where I'm at with Hunt County. Even though whenever I go out with them, I'm fully rigged out. I mean, I'm there to back them up on calls and whatever. So I'm there. If the sheriff calls me right now and says I need you, I'm gone. Yeah. So it's just it's worked out really good for me, and I mean I think that where that's at right now and how I got involved with that. I was actually out at a golf tournament for the North Texas Narcotics Officers Association, and my cousin was there. She's a dispatcher for Hunt County, and she was like, "Oh, you got to come talk to the sheriff." She said, "We just lost our chaplain, and I think y'all would hit it off real well." And after a short, 30, 45-minute interview with them or whatever, they were like, "You're our guy."
How do you think that's helped you, like in your career and your personal life and your ability to work with and network with people?
I think just the ability to sit and have the conversations of I got one here of just listening and again talking with people and actually having good conversations about what they're doing, listening to them intently on what that is, and not just, when you talk to people, sometimes they're just like, yeah, and it's just going in one ear and right out the other.
Yeah.
But I will sit back and ask more in-depth questions about what they just said, and go from there. And I think that's kind of what helps me, not only in that, but in business. Well, okay, let's just kind of take that back for a minute, and let's just say that a lot of times I'll take a large group of people out. Or there'll be a large group of people at my house or something like that. And I'll sit there and they'll just be listening to the conversations. Everybody else is sitting there just, blah, 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 blah. And I'm listening. And I'm going, okay, I need to get with him later on that. Because I'm hearing him say something, and it's probably something I need to talk to him about and make sure that, that gets resolved. Or, or whatever. And instead of being the one that's just sitting there talking, it's all about me. It's not about me. It's about you guys. It's why I have you here. Let's listen to what you got to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's kind of where that comes
in. That's a great lesson. That really is. That's very, very important to do. I know myself, I have to stop myself sometimes because I get caught up in that at work. I'm really good at doing that outside of work, but sometimes at work, I can get so caught up in what I'm doing that some of my guys that, work for me, my estimators and stuff like that, they come in and I catch myself doing that from time to time. I'm like, oh, all right, stop. Whatever's on the computer screen or whatnot, give them their attention. They've been out in the field, they're here, and I'm trying to be a lot better about that because it's something I catch myself doing even.
Well, okay, so I'll give you another for instance on that. I was leading a really large team up in Ohio on a project for BP, and had 120 people or something like that. I had 14 counties that we were over, and a bunch of team leads that I put my top guys over.
Yeah.
And said, here's this, here's that. I had an office, I had my assistant, I had 2 attorneys sitting right outside my office. And I said, look, anytime that you guys want to come and talk about something that you got going on with your work, come talk to me. And so they would bring in their problems that they were having with either, a title project or whatever it may be. And I'm like, okay, look, go see so-and-so. Because I knew who had a particular, expertise in that certain area. I was like, go see so-and-so. And then they would go get with them, got taken care of, done. But if you don't know any of that stuff about those people, then what good does it do you, as somebody who's supposed to be the leader, And then when they do that kind of stuff, make sure and give them some accolades about it, even more so, take them out or do, whatever, just to make sure they know that was recognized, So just things like that. I think that that's just a good quality for anybody to have.
Yeah. All right, we got Donna's chiming in here. I don't know who Terry Jones is, but I'm assuming you probably know who Terry Jones is.
Terry Jones is the sheriff.
He's the best thing that happened to Hunt County.
He is. He is. He's a great man. He's really, I got him. I think I've taken him down the rabbit hole and got him on cigars a little bit.
There you go.
I took him in some cigars, and then now every time I go in and see him, he's like, man, you created a monster.
Yeah. It's so great. I started out my cigar journey just being on vacation. I think that's where it happens for a lot of people. You end up somewhere in the Caribbean or South America, and you stop in port or something, and here you get this opportunity. I want to try this cigar.
And by the way, Donna, hello, and appreciate everything you do over there.
Yeah, Donna's a good person, man. Donna's been a long time friend. She's lived out that way for a long time. I'm assuming Donna still lives in the same area off the lake that her and Paige did. And, yeah, I mean, as long as I can remember knowing, I mean, I knew Paige before I knew Donna. And I remember when they got that lake house out there, man, that was their life, man. That was their retreat. Like,
Cool.
They busted their ass in the multifamily industry, and, like, they had that little retreat out there, man, and they were fishing and living it up on the lake life, man.
Make sure and go in and vote for him again.
I'm pretty sure, based on her comments, she's definitely definitely in there for Mr. Jones.
He is a great guy, and Buddy, the chief deputy over there, he's another great guy as well. All of them seem like really great that I've been able to have the opportunity to meet and ride out with and help do whatever they were doing at the time. I think the last time we just got out and had to work some accident that was just crazy. Somebody ran up in somebody else's backyard.
Oh man,
yeah, that's crazy. But
how do you think that's changed with current times and stuff? I mean, what's your outlook on that now with the way everything's changing with all these social movements? And
I feel for the guys now, I really do, because today's day and age with having cell phones and then them having to wear body cams and everything else, it's a different story when you go out there now, because the deputies and the officers, you almost can't do your job without having the feeling that you could possibly end up losing your job or possibly losing your life, because now you're going to get sent to prison over it. And all you were doing was trying to do your job and protect.
Yeah.
I was in the day and age where there wasn't any cameras and cell phones around or whatever. And if we needed to, thump on somebody for a minute to get them to comply, that's what we did. I do not get these people sitting there getting pulled over and wanting to argue with the fact that all they were getting pulled over for initially was just speeding.
Yeah.
Take the ticket and pay for it. You were speeding. Do your,
pay your price.
Pay your price, dude. But what did you do? You just escalated it now. Problem is what nobody ends up sitting here thinking about when it comes to stops or calls or anything else is on both sides, the officer's side and or the citizen's side, you don't know what they've been through that day, what they're going through in life. So on the reverse side, from the citizen side, you don't know what that officer's been through that day and or what he's going through in his life. Don't push his button. Think about things before you open your friggin' mouth. Just let them write you the ticket. Go on about your business. You're going to have to be out some money. It's your fault. You were speeding, But, it's just, again, going into all those situations, nobody knows what somebody's gone through that day or that week.
Yeah.
That has gotten them to that level. So I was always one that would go in to the situation and try to, let's talk it down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down. Not sit there and try to give orders and then they get mad and then you just give more orders and it just escalates.
Yeah.
Hey man, slow it down here. Let's talk about this for a second.
Absolutely.
So, again, it's a different day and age, and I feel for the guys now. I would not, want to be in their footsteps, even though sometimes I'm kind of inserting myself in that now when I go out with them.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to do that if I'm going to be there to do that and back them up. And or I've told officers whenever I've talked to them before, and they're like, hey, man, why do you travel with an AR in your truck, or, whatever it is? I'm like, well, would you rather me have a BB gun and see you in a firefight on the side of the road and not be able to back you up? That's why I do it. I don't do it because I'm trying to be Billy Badass and, I'm going to do this or do that.
Yeah.
I'm carrying it around because I might need to be able to defend you and or maybe another citizen that's just out there.
I mean, they just had that crazy thing in Houston on the highway where that like convicted felon like is like risking his life and like actually going out and got out of his truck and is like dragging shot officers back behind his work truck and trailer, trying to get them out of harm's way and stuff like that. And that dude did not have a gun, a bulletproof vest, nothing. He's just out there trying to help. And I mean, you'd have thought he'd be the last person, being a convicted felon, having that label on him, anti-cop, whatever you probably would suspect him to be, or you would assume him to be. And yet this guy's out there. A packed Houston freeway. Everybody in Texas know what a Houston freeway looks like at any given time during the day.
Yep.
There's never not a shitload of traffic.
Right.
You want to be prepared and be able to assist in something like that.
Well, and that's the situation that it would be whenever I was like, man, I would be sometimes the only guy out, like out in Rains County at night. Me and maybe a trooper or something like that, and maybe one other officer or a deputy, and I'd pull over a diesel for speeding, truck driver, and I'd sit there and go over everything. Everything else looked okay, whatnot, and I'd say, here's the thing. I could give you a ticket. I said, but I'm not going to. I was like, here's why. I said, I know you got a gun in here. I said, you probably shouldn't have it. I said, but I know you do. And I said, so here's the deal. You ever see me or any of my deputies in some kind of a situation, your ass better stop, get out, and assist.
Yeah.
You got it. And would they? I don't know. But what am I doing? I'm letting him off of a ticket? Big deal.
Yeah.
Just because there's that slight chance that I'm rolling the dice that this guy might be able to get out and help me.
Yeah.
If I'm getting my ass handed to me. No, I'm good with that.
Yeah. I've never heard anybody in law enforcement say that and have that approach. But it makes sense.
I did all the time.
Yeah.
I would sit there and just, be like that and say, look, here's the deal. This is I'm not trying to pull some kind of a, quota thing out here. If I was, I'd be writing you a ticket right now.
Yeah.
Here's
why. There's so many people that feel entitled, and so I get made fun of. Like, I knew if it was late at night and stuff like that, I was always taught, and like, I've had this debate and argument with several people. If I'm getting pulled over for whatever, speeding, didn't use my turn signal, whatever, they're obviously pulling me over for a reason. I did something.
Yeah.
Whether I felt like that's right or wrong, it doesn't matter at that point. And especially if it's at night, well, I will turn the radio off, roll down my windows, and put my hands out the window so that they can see. I'm not trying to grab anything. I ain't doing anything. And I've had several people actually argue with me about that, saying, "Oh, you're just making yourself look guilty. Like you're going above and beyond. Like you're giving them reason to now like do more." And I'm like, "How does that make sense to you? Like that makes no sense to me. Because at night, y'all can't see as much when you're walking up to the car.
Right.
You don't see them not holding their gun or like have their hand ready because they don't know what they're walking into. And you don't have to have a legal tint or anything. Like you could have the standard tinting that comes on your car, and just normal shit, completely legal.
Hard to see
it's still stupid hard. You don't know if he's reaching down to the side of his seat or anything like that.
He could actually be looking for his insurance card.
Yeah.
And it looks suspicious. And it's like, don't do that. Wait until they tell you. And, ask for, different things or whatever. I mean, it's just, in today's day and age, it's just not worth putting up an argument with them. Take whatever they're going to give you. Now, I'm not going to say that there's not any
bad cops.
There's bad people in every profession. I mean, there just is. So, don't think that there's not, but the majority are there. because that's the job that they chose to do. They could be choosing to do something that would pay them a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
You got professional football players out there, getting paid millions to just go out there and catch a ball and, get their body hit here and there, but so do the cops.
Yeah.
Why are they not getting that kind of pay?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're not, looking at them on Monday Night Football,
Yeah.
But, hey, you watch them on, live
Cops
PD,
and live
cops,
PD.
So I really think that they should be getting a hell of a lot more.
Sounds like you're like me too, where you really just like, I hate people that try to profile and put everybody into like categories and boxes. Like if more people would just treat people as human beings, like I don't care what color, what your sexuality is, all this stuff, like it's irrelevant, because at the end of the day, you're a human trying to go through life and enjoy life the way you want to enjoy life.
Well, unfortunately, our I guess situation with everybody's just life as they look at it and the way that they live their lives, even to the way that they dress and or whatever.
Yeah.
When you sit there and it's media. It really is media.
Yeah.
You sit there and you look at the media and you look, okay, what does a gangster, drug dealer look like?
Yeah.
Well, most of the time they think that a drug dealer looks like, this guy that's, got, a bunch of gold hanging around his neck and, this, that, and the other, or whatever. And he kind of dresses like a thug and whatnot. He's a bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
It's not always the case.
No. Absolutely not.
And I guarantee you, if you want to really look at who the real drug dealer is, it's the guy in the three-piece suit that's funding all that shit.
Yeah.
Making the money off that shit, So,
there's bad people, like you said, in every aspect of life. And it's, there's bad people in every race, every religion, every profession. There are good and bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like you're going to deal with that. So if you always, and I feel like too that people that are always looking for that, you'll find it. If that's what you're looking for, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
If that's the things you're putting out in the universe,
yeah.
You will beget that at some point.
But then I'm going to say this as far as the real bad guys out there. There are some of them that just don't care.
Yeah.
They have they don't care if you live or die. They don't care if you got a family that they just assume try to kill your family as well. That's just what they are. And you just don't want to get into those realms or those situations or whatever. It's just don't put yourself in that element.
What other things in today's current political climate are you passionate about?
Well, of course, because I'm a real gun guy.
Yeah.
Man, I all these people saying, they're against guns and this, that, and the other, whatever. At least carry and be proficient with what you're carrying all the time. Because if there would have been more people doing that when the Allen shooting went on, they probably would have been able to take that guy out a lot quicker if somebody would have actually taken action.
Yeah.
If I'd have been there, I'd have taken action. If you'd have been there, you'd have taken action, and probably been able to end it right there. You hear about all the bad stuff, but you don't ever hear about the guy who stopped the guy who could have continued a mass shooting.
Yeah, those stories last 30 seconds in the media.
30 seconds, because it doesn't make news. Nobody's excited. They want to hear. It's like all the looky-loos on the damn road whenever there's a bad accident.
Yeah.
They want to see carnage. Why?
And how many people actually stop when there's something like that happen? I mean, I got recognized by a client because of my beard. I had a motorcycle that, thank God, I was like, I always stay back on motorcycles, man. I have utmost respect for motorcycles. I love motorcycles. I just won't own one in Dallas because it's nuts.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Hey, Biz, will you let him inside real quick? I shut his dog door. Yeah, it's, you know, most of these people, they're too busy in their own world. Like, I mean, this cat, like, slammed into the back of this car. Like, he was from out of town. He was riding his bike back home, had, like, a military backpack on him with his tools in it. He'd been doing a job here. It's rush hour on a Friday on the tollway, and the sun's coming in from the west, you know, like, blinding him. He's not, like, messing with his phone, but he has his phone on one of the mounts, right?
Yep.
He's looking because he can't, the glare all of a sudden, he went like this. I mean, I watched the guy. I was 20 yards behind him. He went like this. Traffic kept, you know, slowing down, and then it would come to a stop, and then it would go for it. He did it at the wrong time, man. Like, dude just had bad timing. He went like that to see if it was his exit he needed to get off of, and traffic stopped. And right as he's looking up, he's about to eat the back end of this little, you know, 4-door sedan.
Yeah.
And he just grabbed his brake, and he went through his windshield with his left arm, which split him open all the way through here.
Yeah.
Well, he picked himself up off the bike and just started running around. The adrenaline hit him. But the dude is flinging blood. And I have an easy stomach, man. Like, I mean, like, it's not seeing it.
Yeah.
It's you telling me the story of how it happened. That's what gets me. I mean, you can start telling me some gruesome story.
Yeah.
I will relive that visually in my head. I'll be out cold.
Yeah.
Seeing it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
And everybody gets that messed up. People try to send me gross stuff all the time trying to mess with me. But, you know, we got out. My wife, she's panicked because traffic's stopping behind us. She's been in a bunch of bad. She has neck injuries. And, like, she's all freaking out. Like, me and 3 other trucks blocked this guy in. So we get out and, like, I mean, I grabbed a golf towel out of my back. I was like, come on, dude. All right, you were in the military. Get back to, like, basics here.
Yeah.
I need you to sit down. I know the pavement's hot, but, like, I need you to wrap your arm and get this thing wrapped. I was like, they've already called the ambulance and stuff. Like, you're all right. Like, I don't think you're, like,
to use as a tourniquet.
Yeah, I was like, but you need to wrap that arm, man. Like, I mean, I don't know a lot about medical stuff, but, like, we need to get some pressure on that right now because you are flinging blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And one of the guys, luckily, had a cooler in the back, grabbed him water and stuff. But, I mean, how many people would have just, like, let traffic go and just keep on going and stuff like that? And then
They
cops
do all
get there
the time.
and it's like,
or they'll sit there and they'll take out their phone and start videoing the damn thing.
yeah,
Get out and freaking help the guy.
yeah.
You know, I mean, what the hell are you doing?
You'd want somebody to do that if it was you or your kid or your
Yeah.
wife. I mean,
I don't get people when it comes to all that kind of stuff. It just what's going through their head that they got to sit there and take the time to try to video this crap instead of stepping in and stopping it. You know.
yeah,
That's my older son. You know, one time he said, you know, he was thinking about going and trying to apply to the police department, and I said, no. He looked at me and said, what do you mean no? I said, no. I said, what? Well, I said, let me just ask you a quick question. I said, have you ever been around your friends or something like that, and there's been a fight break out? I said, what'd you do? He said, I just moved out of the way. I said, really? You didn't get in and try to break it up?
yeah.
And he goes, well, no. I was like, well, then, yeah, number one, that's not what a cop does. He'll get in and he'll break it up.
Yeah.
I said, also, too, I said, whenever it comes to blood and, you know, any kind of massive casualty, you know, type situation or whatever, I said, you faint at the sight of blood. I said, you're not going to be in this business for sure. You're going to see that stuff. You know? It's not nice.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's gory sometimes. And I said, I've been on some really, really nasty accidents. And I said, and it was just something that should have just turned, you know, people's stomachs. And I said, and it kind of got to me later on, you know, especially if there was kids involved or something like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, you just process it different.
That's tough, though, because a lot of people don't know that. That's what I hate. People that assume that people that haven't been there, like, anybody that's ever been in a fight, you know when somebody else not ever been in a fight. And it's usually the one talking the most. Mm-hmm. Like, they've never had their ass whooped.
Nope.
Ever in their life. And if you've been in a fight or two, you've gotten your ass whooped at least once.
Yeah.
Like, every single one of them. I don't care if the baddest dude I mean, look at these UFC guys stuff. They have undefeated record. Eventually, you run into a dude that's just a little bit better than you, and he's going to whoop your ass.
Somebody bigger and better.
Yeah, there's always. And it amazes me at some of these people, and I'll say this, and I'm gonna paraphrase this much without throwing anybody in the bus, because there are certain people that will know what I'm talking about, and I don't want to bring that up too much. But it's like, I had a very good friend that is one of my best friends, and him and a girl that we worked with moved in together and shared an apartment. Mm-hmm. Her boyfriend got jealous about another coworker and came over and murdered her. I mean, like, stabbed her to death in the apartment. Yeah. And he was in his room. This dude does not own a weapon. He had, like, authentic swords, basically. You know what I'm talking about? Like them big, heavy steel swords. Like, he actually had some of those. And it's like, her family and a lot of other people berated him. Like, once he heard what was going on and, like, heard everything, like, he went in, and the dude turned with the knife in his hand, had been stabbing her to death, and, like, turned the knife on him, and he turned around and called 911. And half the family, like, was blaming him that he could have done more.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. Have you ever been in a situation? I mean, I know I haven't. I haven't walked in on seeing somebody getting stabbed to death.
No.
And a dude holding a knife that's bigger than you, in better shape than you, whatever the situation is. How are you going to sit there and lay judgment on something like that if you've never been in that situation? You don't know how you're going to react to that. Mm-mm. You don't know it until you've been in a firefight, a fight, whatever, or that situation. You don't know how you're going to react.
Yeah.
So to see people pass judgment and to, like, get on these keyboards and start typing all this shit when they see this stuff, you don't know. I mean, would you have really done anything differently? Would you have actually stepped up and done something? The majority of people, I'm going to say no.
No,
they wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
They're too wrapped up in themselves or worried about themselves that they wouldn't actually risk themselves to do something like that.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing. Like, my wife ripped my ass one year at PK that there was a boat with family and little kids, a newborn baby on the busiest day of the year on the lake, and this guy had a boat that was a $150,000 wakeboarding boat that he didn't know how it fully functioned and didn't even know where his backup battery was. I mean, this dude knew he had no business being like. He just bought a fancy boat so his 8-year-old could wakeboard behind a cool boat. And he took his whole family out on this and another family for the busiest day on the lake. Well, guess what? It took on too much water. He didn't have all his pumps on because this is a boat that's designed to take on water to make bigger wakes, and it pushes the water out. But then when it all started going down, this $150,000 boat is sinking. Mm-hmm. Well, we got up close enough to him, and I threw out a cooler, put my life jacket on, jumped in the water, and me and my brother-in-law jumped on there and started bailing out water, got the kids and the women off onto the boat. Yeah. The dad and the grandpa stayed on the boat. They refused to get off. They were being stubborn. Right. I was like, hey, we got this. Yeah. We bailed that water out, found his second battery, turned it on, got the bilge pumps working, got it out, towed him in, saved the boat and the whole damn family. I mean, I'm talking there were 3 little kids under the age of 8 and a newborn baby.
Wow.
2 women, 2 men, and a grandfather on this boat. And like, so you just jumped into that water. I'm like, there were little kids, man. Yeah. Like, shit. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to watch some kid drown.
No,
like,
no.
Shit. Like, but I mean, this is when everybody's leaving the fireworks show. I mean, boats are flying by. I mean, like, it's chaotic. I mean, there's 4-foot swells in the middle of this lake.
Sure.
This channel where everybody's going. But I mean, I just hate to see that. Like, people like start passing judgment and want to be keyboard warriors over here and start judging people and saying how they would have done it or why didn't he do this. You don't know. You've never been in that situation.
Right.
And if you had, I bet you just watched.
Yeah.
You maybe picked up the phone, but that's about it.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything.
No. That's, even to this day from just being, in law enforcement or whatever, I'm sitting at a intersection and I scan all the time. I'm always scanning.
Yeah.
Just to see what's going
Yeah,
on.
and watch the people around you. I'm the same way when I'm in a restaurant, a bar.
always.
I know where to get out. I watch people. I think people need to be a little more aware of their surroundings.
They do.
Most people that get into these situations,
They have
they are
no
so
clue.
wrapped up in their own world that they don't pay attention to shit going on around them.
Always be
And
aware
if you would
of your
just be a
surroundings.
little more aware, life would be a lot better. And you'll be more conscious of things happening around you, people around you, conversations you could be getting into.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily eavesdropping or, maybe you hear them talk about something great and then all of a sudden you have an intro to say something that would, maybe spark a new relationship, a new friendship, something people just need to be a little more less.
I've been in a situation where I've said something in a bar or whatever, and some guy, come up and he's like, or turn around and he's like, "What the hell did you just say?" And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, I'm like, "No, bro." So I didn't say. And then he keeps coming at me. I'm like, "Dude, seriously, I didn't say that, but let's just turn this around. How about I go over here and buy you a drink?"
Yeah.
And let's just start this over because I totally didn't say anything like that.
Yeah.
Instead of escalating into you want to get
go?
fight? You want to go? I mean, why do I want to ruin my night like that?
Yeah.
I was out having a good time.
Learn to turn a situation around. That's crucial.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's been other times where it's went a different way, but
Yeah. I'll be happy to engage with you, sir.
oh yeah, be happy.
All right. Well, we're getting here towards the end of the show. We need to wrap this up. You and I could sit here and do this for hours.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure we'll have to have you back on the show here soon again, and we'll do this again. We appreciate everybody that's been tuned in tonight, man. We've had a lot of great comments.
We can go into more specific topics next time.
Yeah, next time we'll dive a little deeper. We'll see what the feedback is and what you guys want to hear us talk about a little more. You guys have questions for Don? Shoot them in. We'll bring him back on the show. You guys tell me what you want to hear, what you want to know. I'm open to that. And the website is officially done. So all of you that are on here now, there will be some merch coming soon. We're working on that, but the website's done. So you guys can go to commonsensethepodcast.com, check it out. It's got great links. You guys want to have a guest on here, you can send them to that page. There's a quick little thing where they can sign up to reach out to me. I'll reach out to them and talk to them. Or if you personally would like to be on the show and there's something you want to talk about, reach out to me as well. Everything's on there where you guys can do that now. It's real easy. Hope you guys like the website, man. We spent a long time working on this and revising it because I'm a little OCD and anal, so I had to make sure it was perfect to me before I wanted it out there. But you guys, please go check it out. Give it a share, give it a like, and we hope you guys are enjoying the shows. But it's that time where we do the 2 questions that we do with everybody. So the first question is, if you could leave your boys with one piece of advice, the last piece of advice you could give them, what would that one piece of advice be?
My piece of advice, I guess, is to, like I was talking about earlier, I guess, reach out and talk to people possibly that you haven't talked to in a while, or reach out and talk to people that, seem to be always reaching out to you or something like that. I mean, I get in a situation where I'm like, I invite people and, want to see them, want to go out with them all the time, do this and that.
Yeah.
And there's always some excuse or whatever. Make time for people. Literally, just make time for people. And I think that you'll find out that your life will be more rewarding if you do.
Yeah. I just got asked if you're naughty Santa. Nice one, Brian. Nice one.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, Brian.
Yeah. You'll have to wait to one of his parties and find out. Maybe we'll get you out to the Christmas party or something. No, on that
Come
note,
sit
too.
in my lap. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. There you go. There you have it. No, there's something a good friend of mine suggested recently, and I've been trying to incorporate this too, and it goes along with what you just said, and I just want to add to that he challenged me basically because he talked about how he was doing this, and I've tried really hard to do this recently, that once a week, reach out to someone you ain't talked to in a long time. Just pick up the phone, call an old friend, an old acquaintance, whatever, and just check on them, see how they're doing. Like, start a simple conversation. And that's been so cool, man, because I've reconnected with a lot of people that I ain't talked to in a long time. That, you know, some used to be really good friends that maybe we've grown a little bit apart, whatever, but just that one phone call to, hey, man, how are things going in your world? What's life treating you like today? Yeah. I mean, it could change a lot of things.
Yeah, it can. Yeah. And you just never know. And it may be nothing but just reconnecting for that one night.
And you don't know what they're going through. So maybe you call at just the right time.
Yeah.
Because I know, we had a friend on here recently, too, that lost somebody that they had no idea what they were going through. And this person decided to take their life. And, I mean, what if that phone call could have changed that just because they felt alone or didn't have anybody to talk to, and you made that one phone call?
Well,
I mean, that's the extreme end of it, but like, you never know what people are going through. Everybody goes through shit in life.
Here and here's a perfect example of whatever. I just found out tonight that Busy's stepdad had just passed away, and he was a great guy. I got to meet him a couple times. Come over to a couple of my parties. Freaking super great guy. And I feel bad that I hadn't talked to him, in the last couple months or whatever. Yeah. And, just finding that out.
Yeah.
That hurts my heart. But,
Yeah.
Circle of life.
It is.
All right, now for the big question.
Oh, hell.
It ain't really a question, but it's Common Sense Podcast.
Okay.
We tell everybody at the end, this can be something I didn't ask you, that you feel you really want to get off your chest, or that you wanted to talk about, or that you want to talk about that you didn't get the chance to. It could just be something you feel like sharing with everybody, but give us Don's 2 cents.
My 2 cents. My 2 cents is, again, it's one of those things to where when I'm a very social person.
Yeah.
So whenever I want to get out and I want to, have a crowd, come with me or, whatever, these people that I have made connections with at these different places or whatever will bend over backwards a lot of times to accommodate me.
Yeah.
And so if you say you're going to be there, then, I get it. Some people have something that comes up, or whatever. But a lot of times I feel like, they just didn't show up, or whatever. And it's like, hey, call me and let me know why you didn't show up. Don't just ghost. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or just if you really don't want to be there, tell me you ain't going to come.
Exactly.
It ain't going to hurt my feelings. It hurts my feelings more when I plan for you to be there and you don't show up.
Because
ain't that right, Biz?
Because I'm really looking forward to you being there, and then when you don't show, kills me.
I mean, we had a couple guys I ain't going to call out by name that did that yesterday. But, I mean, be respectful of people.
Yeah.
It's not respectful to make commitments and not do what you say you're going to do. The biggest thing you do is do what you say you're going to do.
Well, and it's not just that, but I mean, I'm normally one of these guys that always, if I'm invited to come somewhere, I'm supposed to be at a meeting somewhere, or this, that, and the other. Yeah. I'm always there way early.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to have something come up, an accident or, whatever, and make me end up being late. Yeah. It just makes me look like I'm not professional enough to be there.
Or that you didn't care enough.
Or that I didn't care. Yeah.
And that sends a stronger message. It may have not been your intention, but that's the message you sent.
That's it. But yeah, I mean, it's just, again, and then again, always just when you're in conversations, listen, don't just talk over people.
Yeah. Well, Don, man, I want to thank you. You helped us out tonight because, this was last minute getting you out here.
That's all right.
I greatly appreciate you coming out, sitting down with us.
It's good.
Sharing all this knowledge.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I'll be glad to come back again. And, as I say, on the flip side, if I start doing my thing or whatever, I'm going to have you on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I'd love to do it, man. I would love to get invited onto some other podcasts. I try to reach out to some of these other podcasters too, man. Like, I love doing it. I think it's fun. I think people learn a lot from it. And, I'm happy to support it in any way I can, whether that's other people's shows or, you want to come on this show, again, let me know. Reach out. Happy to have you guys on. Well, again, man, thank you.
Yeah.
Glad we've got to really connect now.
Yeah, finally.
Become good friends. And
After freaking how many years?
yeah, man. I mean, it's wild when you go down that rabbit hole, but like it's cool. I mean, I can't believe we never really crossed paths like that
It's like
to the extent
I'm sure
now.
we were in the same exact place.
But now we get to do the old man thing and reminisce about
it.
all that shit.
That's
So
it.
that's cool too.
I love it. Well, but that's the thing, though. And I will tell you, this is the one last thing, and I will say, whenever I was growing up and I was a kid, my grandfather used to take me out and go to some place like the feed store, and it'd be the old guys sitting out in front of the feed store just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
And I would sit there and listen, and they would tell me all this stuff, and I would just learn. I had no idea how they did stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, it just amazed me, and the knowledge that these old men had. So
Absolutely.
don't sit there and look at any person that's older than you are and sit there and think, these guys don't know. They don't know.
Yeah.
They probably know.
They know a lot.
Yeah.
It's just
And
whether or not
can
you
tell
want to
it in
listen.
somebody's face. If they've been there, you know it.
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. Well, y'all stay safe. We'll be back next week. We will be back on our normal time on Thursday. Not sure where we're going to shoot that show at yet, but I'm sure it'll probably be back at the lounge. I think we're finally about to a point at the lounge where our show will be back to being pretty regular there. We are going to have about 3 more shows for you guys before the end of the year, and then we're going to take a little holiday break, regroup. Look out, I got a new program, so y'all going to get to see more short clips and stuff like that. We'll be bringing that to you guys. And then next week, I'm bringing a good friend of mine on, one of my favorite artists. He's my tattoo artist, Colin Johnson. You guys are going to get to meet him, and we're going to go down that rabbit hole of all his artsy world and all the things he does. I think you guys will enjoy that. He's a really dope guy that has a lot of very interesting perspectives on things and looks at things through a little different lens than maybe everybody normally looks through. And I'm excited to sit down with him and talk about that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Yeah.